All right. Hey, Spinthusiasts. Welcome to the live stream. I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm so excited. My friend from Hybrid Calisthenics, he'll be joining us very shortly here. I just approved his join request. Hello, Hampton.
Hello, how are you, Jackie?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. I just moved inside. I was like, well, it'll be nice to do this outside. It's nice, and I thought the sun is definitely going to set on me.
Yeah. It started getting dark here. I was actually a little bit worried because I like it to be dark because of my little background thing I got lit up, but it was like, why is it staying bright for so long now?
Right.
Did you have a good day?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I had a great day. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, it was such beautiful weather today. I was so excited about just getting outside. I made a whole bunch of videos, so.
Oh, nice. I look forward to seeing them.
So for those of you guys who are our followers, and we have a whole bunch of our new followers here because we're actually doing a giveaway right now. So we have a lot of new followers who just joined up because of the giveaway. And this is Hampton. He does Hybrid Calisthenics, which, do you want to kind of explain like your mission with Hybrid Calisthenics, like what you do?
Okay, so I can, and I'll try to summarize it because I tend to go on for a long time. I can talk about it for an hour straight. But calisthenics is body weight exercise. So you think push-ups, pull-ups, squats, things like that. What I do specifically is progressive calisthenics. So when people say they can't do a push-up, they can't because there are many kinds of push-ups. There's wall push-ups, incline push-ups, kneeling push-ups. It's a pushing motion. It's a natural motion that anyone can scale to be easy or hard. Just like some people say it's too easy for them. There are harder kinds of push-ups, and there are some that no one has ever done. So it's like saying that you're too strong for lifting weights. There's always some way to finagle it to where you can find an exercise that works for you. And my particular message, I have a couple. The one is that why is it hybrid calisthenics? Because I really could have just called it Hampton. I would have had the same content. I could have just called my videos all exercise. I could have just called it Hampton. But I called it hybrid calisthenics because calisthenics implies that you have the power to change yourself. You don't need to let anybody sell you your own health, fitness, and happiness. So I'm not against anyone who wants to go get personal training, or of course, if you have some kind of disease or something, of course, I'm not saying a doctor isn't important. But the idea that someone on Facebook, you've seen these ads where they say, just buy our machine for like $5 bajillion, and then you'll have a six-pack, and then you deserve to be happy. And they show people with six-packs like using their thing and just walking. See, that's not very realistic. And not only did that person probably not get a six-pack from using that product, but also the idea that you have to be fit to be happy. And that's just simply not true. You have to be skinny to be happy. You deserve to be happy now. You can be happy now and work on yourself at the same time. You don't have to be rich and then I deserve happiness. You don't have to be skinny and I deserve happiness. Okay, you can be thick. You deserve to be happy right now. That's my spiel.
Yeah, I just want to give you a round of applause. It's so good. It's so good. I feel like it aligns so much with like what we do in Color Guard.
Great.
So one of the things is there's like a huge debate, okay? And this has been going on for a really long time about, is Color Guard a sport? I have an argument for it. I've argued both sides. I've argued yes it is. I've argued no it isn't. But my argument for this whole debate now is, okay, if it is a sport, regardless of whether people decide it is or not, if it is, we need to train like athletes. So it's a very physical thing that we're doing, and it's something that we have to keep our bodies and minds in shape. I mean, there's been times when, you know, it's hard to have a good rehearsal if you have a member who is having an emotional mental breakdown in the middle of the rehearsal. So what's some of the like advice you could give to performers or probably a lot of coaches? I don't know, guys, in the comments section, let me know how many performers we got, how many coaches we got. Tell me what's up. who do we got watching? So what would your advice be, though, to those people who are trying to have a successful color guard career or coach a successful team when you have these discrepancies between like the fitness of your members physically and mentally?
Okay. First, I'll ask a question because I've seen a lot of images of color guard, and they're usually women. Is it a female-dominated sport or no?
At some levels, yes. At the youngest level, it definitely is. As you get older, it tends to kind of peter out the females. Looking at the instructor side of it, the instructor side is very, very male-dominated. So it's kind of odd how it changes.
Right. It is interesting. And I bring that up because there's a certain aspect that I'll touch on in a second. Because generally when someone asks, how should I train myself? And I said, well, I recommend using at least calisthenics for your entire body. And then if you want, you can supplement things. And it's very functional movement. So we don't necessarily think about training our bicep and our tricep. Okay, we think about pulling and pushing. So we're not isolating all of our muscles, training them separately. Because there's something in fitness called the principle or the law of specificity, which basically means if you want to get better at something, you do that one specific thing. This is why bodybuilders aren't the best rock climbers, despite having trained all their muscles. Why bodybuilders aren't the best MMA fighters. Now, some of them, it is intersection, but the idea is that in order to get better at something, because of the way we train our mind when we do it, because of the way we train those specific muscles, the best thing is to do that one specific thing. And so, of course, get in lots of practice. But in general, if you want general overall fitness, I have like 5 or 6 exercises that I recommend. Push-ups, pull-ups, squats, leg raises, and bridges. And you can Google all of these. They've all been like very covered. And again, I talk about progressive calisthenics. So you look at a bridge, and it's a wheel pose. And if someone needs me to demonstrate, I can. But I mean, they're on Google. So your body is almost like a wheel, like this. Some people
but
say,
you
well,
have a lot of these on your account too, right? On your Instagram account, on your TikTok account.
Yeah, you can check them out.
If you don't follow Hampton, go ahead and follow Hampton. He demonstrates a lot of these things on his account too. Anyway,
absolutely. No, and if anyone happens to be here that follows me, I don't always. Please follow Spintronix guard as well. She puts out a lot of funny content. I like it. I'm not in color guard, but I enjoy watching it. I usually watch the entire video when I see it pop up. We have from me and from other people. Please check it out. Again, push-ups, pull-ups, squats, leg raises, and bridges. And together, these exercises train the entire body. They don't isolate them, but they train the entire body. And then those are important. Now, why do I say progressive calisthenics? So with bridges, some people say I couldn't possibly do a bridge. Well, you can build up to it. And the way I recommend training it is I do each exercise once a week. That's it. And I got up to relatively rare skills like the one-arm pull. I train these hard once a week. This is ideal. This is a good starter program for building strength and muscle. A lot of times people, they exercise way too much because they want to practice and get their training inspiration from watching rock movies, watching Naruto, depending on who you listen to. And I think training all every day is just not sustainable. So I need to use once a week. There's a program you can check. I use them once a week, and this is a way to build strength and muscle. And the reason I asked in the beginning whether the guard is female dominated is because I'm not assuming this. I get a lot of questions from my female partners. Well, I don't want to build muscle. I don't want to look like I'm built good. I don't want to use muscle. And you're going to get accidentally either through calisthenics or bodybuilding. Like there's no I have never heard of anyone just like, well, they did bench pressing one day, woke up on Friday and they looked like the Hulk, and they called me up like, well, Hampton, this is all your fault. Now my muscles are way too big. No guy wants me. It's not a thing. You don't accidentally become muscular. It's a whole process. It takes a while to become muscular, and especially with calisthenics. You build muscle in a very lean fashion almost all of the time. And it's actually great for females. Like, again, I know there are plenty of males in color guard, but
a lot of females shy away from it because it's upper body stuff like push-ups and pull-ups. But it's actually great because you're lifting your body weight. You're not lifting absolute weight. You're not competing with like 200 pounds, 300 pounds. I don't even bench. I don't bench. I don't know what I can bench. You're lifting your own body weight, so it's kind of an equalizer because we're lifting our own body weight. We can do more advanced skills by alternating things like leverage and using one arm instead of two. We can get to advanced skills. So it's great for females and males. That's just my general overall spiel on training the entire body.
Yeah, that's awesome. And honestly, that is so helpful because a lot of times, like I said, we have a tendency in color guard to just be like, okay, all we have to do is go to rehearsal and work our show and that be it. And we kind of tend to leave out that we really need to be training our whole entire body to be able to handle what we're doing, basically. Like we've got to tone everything up, and we've got to make sure that we can handle it. I know a lot of times, so you experienced rifle tosses. If you guys didn't see the video where I taught Hampton how to toss a rifle. And so some of those muscles that are involved there, we talked about those same muscles that you are working when you're doing those rifle tosses, you can be training by doing push-ups, doing, pull-ups and things like that. And sometimes, especially like now, because people are having to stay home and we can't get together, we can't go to practice. You can't necessarily go to a gym and spin or toss your rifle. You can't necessarily go outside. A lot of people don't have outside places they can practice. So I think knowing these techniques are out there and knowing they can do these things on their own without any special equipment is so fantastic, because you can be training your rifle tossing muscles even though you're not out there tossing a rifle every day. Did we lose Hampton? Hampton, I think we're losing you. Our connection's weak.
Hello?
Hi there. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think we're on a delay. Or we're on a delay.
Okay, I think so too.
Okay. I heard your entire thing. And I don't know. I'm trying to.
Okay, good.
I'm on my this isn't my crappy Wi-Fi or anything. This is my phone's internet. I don't know what issue it would have. My VPN's disabled. I heard your entire thing. I have a response to that. Or were you done?
Yeah, go for it.
Right. So again, the rifle tosses. That's actually a great way in itself to train coordination. It's an exercise in itself. And for me, like if you're not bruising yourself all the time like I was, and you're actually good at it, the idea of tossing it in air and catching is great for your coordination. And other than just training strength and muscle, another important thing is reflexes. We often don't think about training our reflexes. So I don't want to recommend anything that someone will try and hurt themselves. If you don't think you're ready for it, there's always look for an easier variation. Simple Google search. But the thing that most people go for is like a clapping push-up. Now, clapping push-ups aren't just for showing off. They're actually for training explosive force and speed. So when you do this, you do this for several weeks, and you'll notice you're getting much faster, and when you drop things, you're much more likely to catch them. Now, if you can't do like push-ups, don't try it. Don't do it. You can go on your knees and bend down, push up, and just catch yourself. And that's training some basic explosive force. Like, for example, leg raises that they train the core. Advanced enough, you can do front flips. That would be an explosive way, but you don't have to do that. You can do an explosive sit-up. All these things you can Google. I'm trying to use very generic terms that anyone can search if they're interested.
Yeah, that's a really important thing too, because one of the biggest things with this explosive force that you're talking about, so like what we would think of in color guard is we would call that recovery. So, and I know normally like in any sort of fitness, you're thinking of recovery as like recovering after a workout, giving your body time to rest and rebuild. But in color guard, recovery is actually like that explosive force that you're talking about, where if you drop, how fast you can catch and pick back up and get that reflex to get back into the choreography. Or if you like trip or something, you can, how quickly can you get back up and get back into it? And I think that's going to be the thing that that really they get from this, from training those explosive force, like, so doing those clapping push-ups and doing those explosive sit-ups and things like that. That's going to be the thing that they use that for in our circle of, in our community, basically, in what we do. So.
Well, one other thing. I'm sorry if you weren't finished, but I remembered this, and my mind, like, if I don't say it now, I'm going to forget it. A very important thing for almost all sports, our joints are usually our weak spots. You know, when we get injured, it's often the joints. That they give us great versatility, especially the shoulders and everything. I want you guys to be safe, and not only can we train the joints to be stronger, but when they're stronger, they're more resistant to injury, or when we use them in ways that we shouldn't. Like if someone comes and just kicks me in the knee, okay, I won't be as hurt if I have a strong knee compared to a weak knee. How do we train the joints? Now there's a whole discussion about this. There's a whole like sub-discussion of exercise about this. But a very important thing is using full range of motion in exercise. This is why it's important to do an exercise that you are comfortable with. If you can't do push-ups, and like, let's be honest, if your push-ups look like that, okay, I'm not making fun of you, I'm just saying, you want to be able to train your elbow and your shoulder. You want to do all of that. If you do an easier push-up, that you can do full range of motion, because when they're stretched is when we train the joints. When we stretch and we go to the bottom and we hold for a second and we go down, that, in my opinion, and how a lot of calisthenics athletes view it, is when we're training the joints. And a very important thing, there's something I do called kiss the baby, okay? Which means at the bottom part of any exercise, we only want to descend and touch the ground. You know, if we're doing a push-up, you only want to hit the bottom part of your exercise with the force with which you would kiss a baby. Okay? Some people, they do their exercises like this, like this, like this. Baby has brain damage, you kissed it too hard. Okay? You have to kiss the baby very gently. And when we do that, not only are we training our joints, but we're also training control. So that's just something I should have brought up earlier, but I thought of it just now.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And that is really, really the type of finesse that we want to be able to train with in order to work with our equipment, especially like when you're out doing color guard, you want to be graceful and dancing and moving, and you're doing really hard stuff, generally like really demanding things on your body, but you have to look like it's nothing. And so that kiss the baby idea is perfect for that, because you're going to be pulling through all those movements with this sort of grace of kissing a baby, basically.
Right, absolutely.
Guys, if you've got questions, go ahead and leave them in the question box. We're going to get to questions here in just a little bit. But if you guys want to start giving us some questions, we do have a few in the question box already. But yeah, kissing a baby. We were getting a lot of comments about this. People who like your ideas about looking some of this stuff up, training reflexes, Googling training reflexes.
Right.
Don't break your fingers while you're spinning saber. I had Derpy213 says, break all your fingers while you're spinning saber. That's not what we want to do.
Yeah.
Love that. Kiss a baby. Yeah, kissing a baby. That's a great way to think about it, I think.
So in color guard, are we doing this to music? I believe there's usually music playing. Okay.
Yes.
So,
yeah, all the time.
and I'm sorry if this goes against any kind of color guard training. I don't see any reason why I would. I'm careful not to talk about things I don't know about. But I've done a lot of music training, and when I'm watching choreographed performances, a lot of times people think they have good timing and tempo, but they actually don't. So because we're talking dance, we're talking choreography, and we're talking music, if you're doing a rifle tosses, after you master it, I would at least consider doing it to a metronome or the beat of a song if you want that. And if you're really serious, get something else and record yourself and notice like when your hands are touching the thing. Because I am not a dancer, but when I'm watching amateur dance performances or professional dance performances, one of the things that drives me crazy is when something is slightly off. And I'm just thinking of an exercise you can do that would combine both the musical sense, because metronomes are our friend. We hate them because they tell us when we're wrong. But you can download one on you can download a metronome app on your phone. I really think that would help not only your color guard performance, but just your ability to appreciate music in general.
Yeah, that's something actually with everybody's got these headphones, these little, what are these called? I don't even know. AirPods now. And like they are so great because you can stick them in your ears and go out and do color guard and not worry about getting all tangled up in chords while you're dancing. So you guys could definitely like practice your tosses to music. So when you do get good at rifle tosses, so most people know you'll have like, you have your tempo of, okay, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're going to prep your rifle on count 8. You're going to push out on count 1 of the music. And if you got that tempo going for you, depending on what type of music you're using, you can definitely like train yourself to toss better, and especially that explosive force we were talking about earlier, and have like that to train to with the music. That's fantastic. And a metronome is great too. In fact, when I was teaching drum corps, for some reason I could not tap that little gawk block to save my life, to stay on tempo, and you're out in the middle of a field. So I would get my phone metronome and turn it on and put the little headphone in my ear so I could stay on beat for the poor kids that were spread out all over the football field.
So you did that. You used the metronome.
Yep. I used the metronome app. I don't know which one it was. I don't even know if I have it now, but it was really fantastic.
I use something called Metronome Beats, but I'm sure there's lots of those. I like it because you can tap the tempo, so you don't have to put in the number. You just tap it and it tells you the tempo. Gotcha.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. There's also a lot of like playlists on Spotify now. Spotify didn't exist when I first started teaching color guard, so I actually had an app on my computer similar to what you're talking about, where I had to tap my space bar and it would tell me what the tempo was. So I would literally listen to every song I wanted to put in my color guard playlist and tap out the tempo, and then I would organize them into playlists based on tempo. So much work went into this, and I still have them all on my insanely old iPod from like 2004 or 2005, whenever I bought it. And but that's so helpful. And now on Spotify they have playlists. So if you're like, okay, I know my show is 130 beats a minute, you can actually go on Spotify, pull up a playlist that's 130 beats a minute, and you can practice to each one of those. And it's so fantastic. It's so helpful. We use it in dance class all the time.
Nice. Now, I have a question. There are these advanced tosses. I mean, I know the stuff I was doing was basic, but some of the stuff you showed me later on in the park was advanced stuff. Are some people lacking what they imagine is the strength to toss things as high as they want, or is there a strength or is it more coordination? Yeah, I think, well, it's a little bit of both, because like they need the strength and they're not necessarily getting the strength because their coordination is so off. Especially when you're talking about high school students. You're talking about the younger, like middle school, high school students. They don't even start thinking about the strength yet because they need that coordination first. And then once they get the coordination of doing the toss right, remember how we were talking about push then lift and how it's like two separate motions, one after the other. That's the part that's the hard part. And then once they get that down, then they start building their strength. It'd be nice to like get them to build both at the same time, but I think it's the coordination first that's the problem. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, the one thing I'll mention on that is I've noticed a lot of, because we're dealing with a lot of, there's some college kids, but also some younger high school and pre-high school kids. The one thing I've noticed is whenever I see them do any kind of athletic movement, especially explosive ones where they throw a ball, or even they toss a frisbee, or they do anything, or they throw a punch, or I ask some people to throw a punch and they go like, yeah, because they think they have to be tense. An instant hack that can improve a lot of your overall athleticism is if you just relax into the movement. You think about like where your hand wants to be. If you're throwing a ball from here to here, and you just relax as much as you can, because you'll be surprised how much you can relax and still exert a lot of force. Because our force is mass times acceleration. It's not mass times being super tense. It's mass times acceleration. So if you want to generate a lot of force, and you want to toss the rifle super high in the air and hit the ceiling. Well, I don't know if that's good or bad. Please don't hit the ceiling. You want to do it with speed. Okay, it's not necessarily as much tension as you think, because when we throw a ball, a lot of what people have to do is they're too tense. They're activating their antagonistic muscles. If you wanted to get more scientific about it, it's still not a whole lot. So like imagine if you're pushing and you're activating your biceps, you're working against yourself. You're kind of worried. And once you're used to the movement, very important, after you're used to it, if you're not used to it, your body's trying to protect you by tensing up. If you're used to it, relax into it, and you'll get a lot more speed and you'll be able to do a lot more force. And eventually you'll be able to have more coordination because you're more relaxed. When we're tense, we're less coordinated, and we're not as fast, and we're actually not as strong.
Nice. Okay, we have several questions going on in our question box right now. Let's talk about these guys here. Okay. I don't know. It doesn't give them to me in order, so I'm sorry if these are not in the order that you guys have sent me. So how about this one? It says, do you get tired after so long of practicing? Maybe what about something that's like, how can we keep from getting tired after practicing for a long time?
So do you mean directly afterwards, or do you mean the idea of recovering for tomorrow?
Well, see, at least with our team, and I know with a lot of other independent teams, our rehearsal time is something like 4-hour blocks, 3 or 4 hour blocks at a time, 6 to 8 hours a day. And then when you're talking about like the world-class teams, you're talking about 12 to 16 hours a day. So these rehearsals are huge. They're very, very long. So maybe what can we do to prepare ourselves for such a long like time of being focused and athletically present? And then maybe how can we keep ourselves from getting tired during all of that?
Okay, so multi-layer answer to that. The first I'll touch upon is what I mentioned before. The idea of working your entire body and getting it stronger is so we are less likely to get tired overall. Okay, if you're stronger, you are I mean, it's not directly correlated, but you're less likely to get tired when doing things that make other people tired. Another thing is, if possible, I recommend taking up jogging. I mean, this seems like something to where individual movements aren't necessarily very tiring, but you do it for 5 or 6 hours, you have to walk around for 5 or 6 hours. I definitely recommend taking up jogging. Again, do some research into it. Don't just be inspired. Don't just be inspired by Rocky or Naruto or like whatever TV shows you guys watch. Okay, they usually can do things we can't do. So like look into it. Start off by jogging 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. You definitely want to stay active overall. Another thing is, what can you do to not be as tired after your practice? Well, there's a whole science behind this that you guys can research, but it's relaxing after exercise. When we exercise, we build up all these, I don't know if I want to call them toxins, waste products. When we use our muscles, they begin to break down, and we have toxins and waste products inside. We can massage them and take care of ourselves, or move them with gentle movement. If you look up something called Tai Chi, and yoga is also great for this, it's a great way to accelerate your body's recovery time, because after you do it and you relax, your waste products aren't there. You're moving your body gently, so you're not creating more waste products necessarily, but you're increasing circulation and you're increasing your recovery time or improving your recovery time. Another thing is cold showers. Cold showers are great for recovery time if you can handle them. If you have heart conditions, I'm very careful because I mean who I'm talking to. It could be anyone. If you have heart conditions or you're worried about it, ask your doctor or whatever. I don't want to off anyone. But if you're healthy, cold showers are great for increasing recovery time.
And we do yoga at Spintronix before, basically at the end of our Friday night rehearsals, we do a yoga session, 15 to 20 minutes of like a restorative yoga session using the Down Dog app, which is just kind of like it pieces together a yoga practice that's a little bit different every time you do it. So we're not just doing the same thing over and over. We actually go through that whole process of relaxing your muscles down and taking very gentle poses and gentle movements. But yeah, that's fantastic. Like doing yoga afterwards. And guys, if you want to know about Down Dog, I'll put a link to it whenever I post the video, the final copy of this talk.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Okay. So this one, hold on. I have to pull this up as Okay, let me read the whole thing and then I'll go ahead and pull it up. What type of exercise should I try to install with an all-girl guard with a large range of body types? They all spin, flag, and dance primarily. So they're not going to be needing necessarily those explosive movements we're talking about with rifle, but there is some stuff like that with dance. So what types of exercise should we try to install here? Like, what could be sort of a plan for them, I think?
I'm a little bit confused about the question. What is it different that they're doing?
Well, I think her issue is that she's got an all-girl guard with a large range of body types. So, and Bone Crusher one, if you're still in here and you want to kind of clarify this a little bit, tell me a little bit more background about your team.
Okay.
So
okay, no, I'm kind of getting it. I'm kind of getting it to where it was an all-girl guard and a large range of body types. So you may be worried about things like mobility and just endurance. So again, I would still recommend the same thing. I mean, the reason I talk about these things, and people are eventually going to not like me for repeating myself, not just here, but like throughout my lifetime. But like, I'm not just gonna make stuff up. I can't make
You're
up
saying
any
this stuff, and we love you for it. How can you say we're not gonna like you anymore?
Push-ups, pull-ups, squats, leg raises, bridges. These things can work for girls, guys, large ranges of body types, anything. First, that's your foundation, I would say. To increase overall mobility, I would definitely explore something like Tai Chi. Again, the reason I pick these things is because they work for so many things. There are small specialist exercises we can do, and people like them because like, ooh, specialist, shiny. You know, they're not. These are the things that keep us healthy overall, and we're on the path. So eventually, when we want to pursue specialist exercises, we don't have to spend nearly as long on it, if that makes sense. So yes, to summarize, full body calisthenics, pick something easier that can work for you, and something gentle, like definitely yoga and Tai Chi, for sure.
So she gave a little bit more clarification. She says that we have some girls that are smaller than a 00 and some girls that are 3 to 4X. And you get this a lot when you're working with middle school to high school students, especially. They're all very new and I want to train them more. So basically you're saying like keep it with those basics and then work up from there with everybody. Right.
And just in case she wasn't at the beginning, all those things, again, push-ups, pull-ups, squats, leg raises, bridges. Yes, I think that was all of them. If someone if they said they can't do push-ups, very important thing that we see in gym class, people say, oh, just try your best. You don't have to try your best. You can do an easier variation. Knee push-ups. They're not all push-ups. I did them. I'm better at push-ups. Okay, I did them. I did the push-ups on my knees. They work. Definitely don't be ashamed of them. For that, some incline push-ups. You push-ups against the wall push-ups. They are never a waste of time. So if anyone can't do them, encourage them by saying they can, because there are many kinds of these exercises. There was someone that I met the other day who couldn't do a wall push-up. She had some arthritic joints. I had her bench press the air. Okay, and that helped her. She felt better. She was on her bed and she just went like this. I had her do joint circling. Okay, it depends on your health. You know, it depends on who I'm addressing. I'm trying to be very general. But there's always an exercise that can work for you that will work any part of your body that you want.
Excellent. All right. Let's see what else we've got in our question box here. Okay. What types of warm-ups do you recommend before engaging in guard or any sport? So what are some things, and I actually was just talking to somebody about this earlier this morning, about different things you can include in your warm-up, because now the question that I was addressing with this other person this morning was static versus dynamic stretching and what the recommendation is there. And I think both of them have their place in the warm-up, but what do you think as far as like warm-ups before you begin anything? What do you think preparing your body should be like?
So, I am a fan of active stretching. So, I like stretching under force. When we relax into a stretch, there are places for that, but it's less functional than when we can move into that. And if you want to think of a general equation, you can think strength plus flexibility equals mobility. If we just have flexibility, it's not necessarily mobility. An example of this is if someone can do the splits. Especially if some people they have to be pushed into the splits by someone else. And that's great. That's an impressive thing. I can't necessarily I can kind of do the front splits. But if you can do the splits, but they can't necessarily raise their thigh all the way up to where they're doing the splits while standing up. They don't have the strength to do that, so it's not necessarily mobility. So the upshot of all of this is, if you want to stretch your muscles, you can. But think of it this way. Instead of stretching your tricep, for example, like this, why don't you go into the bottom part of the push-up position like this, and it's being stretched under force. So not only are you protecting your joints, but you're also working your flexibility in conjunction with strength. So those are the stretches I would do. Warm-ups, in general, I would just try to work your entire body. If you're someone that needs to warm up, I warm up naturally for almost anything I need to do about an hour into waking up. I'm just, that's how I naturally am. Some people need to warm up more than others, so don't necessarily look at your peers and well, they're not warming up, I don't need to, and then you injure yourself. Definitely stretch. That's the thing. You know, we need to stretch into our warm-ups. But I would not worry about so much about the exercises that you have to relax into. Like when we're like stretching our legs for a split or something, a big part of what we're doing is we're desensitizing the muscle spindles. So these are parts of our body that tells us we're overstretched now, we're overstretched, let's come back. Okay, part of what we're doing when we're stretching is we're desensitizing them, so that we allow them to stretch more and more. Okay, so this can actually, we can do impressive things when we need to dance, but it can also injure ourselves. So be careful with that, and that's why I recommend active stretching, because that's actually building strength in that range of motion, and you're not just desensitizing yourself. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, and going through some of the stuff like you were saying, stretching in like a push-up position, stretching your triceps, thinking about it that way, and like, but don't just like jump down to the ground and immediately do a push-up.
No.
Working your way into it is a good way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's excellent. Okay. We have someone who commented, says, I have a weird range of flexibility. It's annoying. I have one split and a flexible lower back, but a closed hip and a stiff upper back. We also had someone earlier who commented, and it wasn't related to what we were talking about at the time, but it's related to this now, that they said, how do you work with someone who has closed joints? So if the joints are very tight and very closed off, how do you work through getting those to relax and open up to where you can find that better mobility and flexibility?
That's the kind of thing that I hesitate to give general advice on in a life, because there are some things that would work great for other people. There are some things that would work horribly for other people. Like some people, repetitive motion is what they need. Other people, it would hurt them more. In general, you know, again, what we were just talking about, if you spend some time in the bottom part of these exercises and you do exercises with a full range of motion, exercises that you can handle, you will naturally increase your functional mobility. That's why we do them. That's why we do them with a full range of motion. In general, if you want to do something that can help them right now, you can always try just general stretching like this. Let your body stretch against itself. And just for your information, if you want to stretch any part of your body safely, your body, it naturally puts limits on your brain from hurting itself, unless you're drunk or something. Don't stretch when you're drunk.
Please don't stretch drunk.
Yeah, don't stretch when you're drunk. So, for example, if you want to stretch, let's say, your hip flexors, or you want to stretch your quads, you can do this. You can pull on your foot here, or you can just try to go up naturally with your foot strength. So what you're doing is you're putting the power there of your glutes and hamstrings against the flexibility of your quads. So your body is stretching against itself, and that's something that's always very cool. So like when you're sitting at a desk and if you're watching this and your neck's getting kind of stiff, you can do this. You can just do this. And my body has the strength to keep turning until I break my spine. But it's like, well, Hampton, that's not a good idea. We need your spine. So it stops itself.
Right.
So like this. Right. So just general idea. If you want to stretch, that's a general idea.
Yeah, and basically listen to your body to make sure that you're not going to injure yourself, and your body's going to be able to stop you before you get to the point of injury. That's excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and okay. Let's see. We have several questions that we just answered in that whole thing now. Okay, so this one's, it's kind of a long one, so I'll read it and then I'll put it up. Would it help to do other arm workouts to build up arm muscle to be able to toss higher, or should I just practice color guard? So they basically want to know, should they be Like, are the other workouts helping? Which we kind of talked about this before, but maybe we can kind of go back to that and reiterate it. Are the other arm workouts helping in addition to just doing the repetitive motion over and over again?
Yes. Again, definitely practice those push-ups and pull-ups because they're functional movement. But at the beginning, and you guys will like this, people always like this. There's I mentioned something called the principle or law of specificity. So the best way to get better at something, or definitely to get better at a sport, is to do that exact thing. So if you could somehow finagle having a bar like this or something, where you do this and you have to stay in place to where you can't move it, or you can barely move it. Or it's actually great if you can get it to where your body, you're using your own strength against itself, kind of with a stick or something. And you use that color guard push and pull motion to where you're doing this, or I mean, I'm sure my technique is horrible. Like, you guys know what I'm talking about. Like, motion. You push down as hard as you can in that position. You push up as hard as you can in that position, and that will train your body. That is, by definition, the best way to train strength in that position. The best way to train strength and speed, because if you're stronger, you're faster. Now, again, there are things to consider, especially with something like that. For one thing, you need a loading reflex. Basically, if you push against a brick wall, you can't work your muscles as hard as they can because your body knows nothing's pushing back. So if you want to train them separately and just have something here that's way down that you can't push up, or if you tie a towel from your hand to your foot and you push down, that's similar to the up pushing part of the rifle toss. Another one where you can push down, where you can tie a towel to a tree branch, because a tree branch has some give, your leg has some give, and you do that. Yeah. That would be one of the best ways to train strength in that specific angle. And that, again, is really cool because it's by definition, if you do it right, the best way and the fastest way to train strength in that angle.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. We've got time. I think we got time for a couple more.
No, I'm sorry if I'm taking too much time. I can start answering.
No. This is fantastic. This has been really good. There's just a lot of questions. I'm kind of trying to make sure we answer all of the questions that are related, kind of, because like we've got one here. How do I become flexible without pulling any muscles? We kind of talked about that. As you're stretching, make sure that you are always listening to your body and don't stretch while you're drunk. I hope you guys are not out there getting drunk as it is during guard seasons, especially. What workouts does Spintronix do? We actually do a lot of what you're talking about. We do run. We don't do a lot of push-ups necessarily, but we'll do some push-ups and we'll do some like holding positions, planks. I couldn't think of the name of the word plank for some reason. But we'll do planks and we'll do running. We do Zumba a lot just because I'm a Zumba instructor. And so we do a lot of those things. Most of our workouts we actually get from Marching Health, so this is kind of like a plug for them. They're not paying me to say this. I really like them. They have a lot of good workouts on their website, on their social media and stuff. Dr. Cleveland's awesome guy. So we do a lot of those things. Yes, you're 13. Please don't get drunk. Okay. This one's a good one. And I made the topic of this conversation is color guard a sport. My thought was to take it the direction of, if it's a sport, we need to train like athletes. A lot of people have been complaining that we haven't been discussing the pros and cons of why color guard's a sport.
Okay.
Anyway, why do some people not think it's a sport? I think they're insecure, personally. That's my thought. It's very athletic. I mean, what do you, so Hampton says somebody who's coming in and just now learning about color guard, and you know about sports and you know about music, you know about performance. You've got both sides going on. What would you think, just coming in as someone who knows nothing, would you say that color guard is a sport? Yes.
I would say in order for something to be a sport, and these are unorthodox requirements, this is just off the top of my head, there needs to be a physical element, okay, some physical and athletic element. That's why I don't think things like chess are necessarily sports. Very worthy game, but not what I would consider sport. So a physical element and some chance of injury. there has to be some chance of you injuring yourself. And I've injured myself. So there you go. It's a sport.
Yeah, how those
Very
bruises looking.
Very slight injury. Yeah, a couple of cuts, but yes.
I cut my thumb just today. I cut my thumb on my rifle.
There you go. It's a sport. Done. We're done. Color guard's a sport.
Everyone's liking up the video right now like crazy. Like, yeah, it's a sport. He said it's a sport. Oh. Okay, what else we got? We've had another more. Oh, here's a very, very good one. How do I do cardio with plantar fasciitis? I had plantar fasciitis when I marched my 3rd season drum corps. So, yes, I want to know too, because it hurts. How do you do cardio with this?
Okay, well, you can do cardio with high-intensity interval training, which is largely what I do cardio. I actually don't jog myself. Now, plantar fasciitis, I would imagine a lot of, I haven't had it, but I would imagine a lot of lower body movements hurt.
Yes.
Walking can sometimes hurt.
Yep.
Can I tell you, do squats hurt?
I don't know. Well, honestly, for when I had it, being on my feet at all hurt. It didn't matter if I was standing still, if I was, what I did a lot was I would just stand on one foot until I just couldn't bear it anymore, and then I would transfer my weight to the other foot. It was horrible. I spent every second that I could get off of my feet, I would sit and just be off of my feet while I had it.
Gotcha.
The person who asked this is saying they can barely walk. So,
okay,
yeah.
I get it. That's definitely something, but you don't have to run or jog or not even. Like, squats are good for cardio because they're very intense and it's very easy to get out of breath and your heart's beating. High repetition sit-ups. You know, if you've ever done like 200, 300 sit-ups, you know, you get sweaty and it's a cardio workout. Leg raises too, then they do yours. Now, if you're going to go into the hundreds, either have a padding for your tailbone or learn to lean to the side, because a lot of people don't really think about this, but when you go into the hundreds, you will have a scar on your tailbone just from going up and down so much. So that's the one thing. Certain pull-ups, if you can do them, are very cardio intensive. The people are out of breath when they're done with it, just because it's so intense on your body, and it counts as high-intensity interval training, I believe, depending on how you do it. If not, look into upper body high-intensity interval training, and those things will work your cardio largely for short-term, which also expands into like what people consider endurance for long-distance running, cardio for long-distance running. That's also important, but it also helps you train intense cardio, things that you can use right away, and I believe there is an application of that into endurance cardio, and especially if you want to go an easy route, you pick an easy push-up, like wall push-ups. Again, you can do those for high reps, and that would be an easier form of cardio. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So basically getting off of your feet and doing those other exercises that you're doing, maybe they're strength training exercises, but doing a lot of them and maybe doing them quickly without hurting yourself is going to help you to get that cardio in still while staying off of your feet, basically. Right.
That's great. And I mean, cardio is kind of it's kind of glamorized by a lot of people who want to lose weight and things. I want some people to consider this, because we've talked about people having different body types. We talked about some women, and some people. If you put on some muscle, if you do some muscle training, that's one of the best ways for you to lose weight. Okay, I eat a buttload of food. I eat a lot. Sorry, can we say buttload? I eat a lot of food.
You can say buttload. It's okay.
I eat a lot of food.
We already talked about 13-year-olds being drunk, so.
Right. I eat a lot of food. Okay, but I naturally just burn. I never go jogging or anything. I'm not against it. I just haven't done that in a while, And you don't necessarily have to jog and do these exercises to burn fat if that's why you're doing cardio. If you're doing cardio for endurance, then again, high repetition variations of certain exercises like sit-ups. Pick something you can do for a long time. If you want intense cardio to where you are out of breath and you're going like this and you can't really talk, pick a strength training exercise. So easy exercise, high repetition if you want to do long distance, and intense exercise, lower repetitions if you want high intensity interval training.
Awesome. That's so great. Hampton, thank you so much. We're getting really close to time, and I'm kind of afraid that Instagram's going to cut us off. They generally like to cut us off at any point after 55 minutes, and I never know. If you guys want more exercises that you can do at home, go follow Hampton. It's Hybrid Calisthenics. It's hybrid.calisthenics, right?
On Instagram, yes.
Okay, so follow Hampton. It's hybrid.calisthenics. You can also find him on TikTok and follow him. He's got a lot of awesome exercises. They're body weight exercises, so you don't need a whole lot of extra fancy equipment or something. It's all stuff you can do at home, usually in your own room. Hampton, this has been awesome. Like, this has been so great. I think we've had the most questions on this live that we've ever had. So what do you guys think? Should I bring Hampton back sometime? Like, maybe?
I had a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun during a lot of my lives, but this one was a lot of fun. I love talking to people. I love answering questions. The only thing is I hope people can understand me, because when I get excited, it's part of my DNA. I talk really fast. It just happens.
Yep. Yep, it happens. I mean, you just get excited, then you just get to slow down. You get to explain it all again. It's all great.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming again, and I will talk to you. I'll probably see you next week. And everybody in the comments is saying bring him back, so I guess you're gonna have to come be on the live again sometime.
Sure. Just let me know. I'm very happy to do it. Very happy to do it.
All right. Bye, Hampton.
Bye, Jackie. We'll talk later.
Guys, that was awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was a great time today. Don't forget, we've got the King Kong rifle giveaway going on right now. And make sure you get your entry in. It is for a free King Kong rifle. If you don't want to wait and you just want to order your own, you can also do that. Go to designsbyking.com. And don't forget to tell them Spintronix sent you. There's a little comment box. Just type in there. Be like, Spintronix! You can put it in all caps if you want, if you get really excited. So this was awesome. Thank you all so much again for tuning in. And you are welcome, those of you in the comments who are saying thank you. I can't wait to talk to you guys again. Stretch and Chat link is going to go up first thing tomorrow morning. So if you're interested in participating in Stretch and Chat, make sure you sign up in the morning. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I forgot. There's just a lot of stuff going on right now. So anyway, thanks for coming, guys. I will talk to you later. Bye.